All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live coming to you from our church choir room. As always, with the NAIAFBALL live show powered by AdCraft Sports, your custom apparel, merch, and uniform experts. Check them out at AdCraft Print on Twitter and AdCraftUSA.com on the internet. They are definitely an incredible set of people. They do an amazing job at what they do. Go check them out at AdCraft Print, AdCraftUSA.com. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for right now, it is just me. John will be along shortly. It is playoff season, and not just for the NAI. It is playoff season for high schools here in Florida. And so John's team, our county team, is in the Elite Eight of the state playoffs, and so meetings happen. So come along with me, and we'll recap some games here, starting with the last game. We'll start at the top with number 1 Lindsey Wilson beating Montana Western 48-21. Cameron Dukes just has an absolute day. 13 of 26 for 243 yards. You're looking, that's more than 10 yards per attempt. It's almost 12 yards per attempt. 2 touchdowns through the air, 3 rushing touchdowns on the ground on 40 yards rushing. Boyd there for Lindsey Wilson goes for 143 yards and 2 touchdowns on 28 attempts. Just a big day for them. John Jund for Montana Western, 13 of 29 for 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. Hermanson caught 7 balls for 101 yards. Credit to the Lindsey Wilson defense. So you see those 21 points and you think, well, Montana Western put it on them. But I'll offer you a couple things. Lindsey Wilson's defense only allowed 4.5 yards per attempt passing. That's really low if you're not familiar with yards per attempt. And they got UMW off the field. When they got them into 3rd and 4th downs, UMW, I believe, was 1 of 12 on 3rd down and 0 of 1 on 4th down. That is 8%. We said the Lindsey Wilson defense was good. We knew the Lindsey Wilson offense was good. And let's put it this way. Lindsey Wilson needs no extra motivation. They got some this week. They didn't need it. On to the second game, Morningside, Ottawa of Arizona, a game of absolute offensive domination. As my grandfather would call it, this is a defensive struggle where both defenses struggled. Ottawa's defense allowed 8.1 yards per play. Credit to the Morningside defense, especially after halftime. Ottawa only got 3 points afterwards. That was a big-time step up for the Morningside defense, led by Tyler Wingert there in the middle. But what can we say about the Morningside offense that hasn't been said? I mean, Dolanchek was so good. 25 of 35 for 360 yards and 3 touchdowns. Juergensmeyer catches 10 of those balls for 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. Look, Juergensmeyer, they're going to miss all 3 of these guys when they go. They're going to miss Dolanchek, Sims, and Juergensmeyer. Juergensmeyer is just a great go-up-and-get-it possession wide receiver there who has some of the surest hands in the NAIA. Just a great game offensively. You know, you've heard us say that Morningside offensive line, those big hosses up front, definitely get it done for the Mustangs. In another wider game, Grandview beats Dickinson State. Woo, Freudian slip. 38-13. This one was not as close as it looks. Dickinson State scores twice late. This one was Grandview all the way. That defense for Grandview that we said was so good allowed -15 rushing yards. That's absurd. Dickinson State does start out with Drew Bodecker under center. They switch to White midway through the second quarter. White plays the rest of the game. That wasn't my primary screen. Can't tell you what happened to Drew Bodecker. But White was 23 of 34, was the primary quarterback for 206 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. Tiger Fried, the North Star player, offensive player of the year, caught 91 yards worth of those balls with a touchdown. On the other side, Johnny Sullivan is 100%, in this Grandview offense. It runs it to perfection, comes in and goes 18 for 28 for 265 yards and 3 touchdowns. We'll be right back. Should be able to hear me there, and we are back, and we have John Cooper here. Just going through the games here. Did you have anything about Lindsey, the Lindsey game, the Morningside game, or the Grandview game you wanted to talk about?
I would say nothing surprised me this week until we get to a game we're going to talk about later.
Yeah.
So nothing surprising, and that happens to be the case in most NAIA playoffs.
Yeah, I mean,
in the first round.
You saw the texts. I was a little nervous there through a half. So this game surprised me a little bit. Northwestern, Central Methodist.
Yeah, if you're just looking at the final score, you're thinking, what's the big deal? But in reality, Central Methodist was really scrappy there for a good portion of that game.
Absolutely. Paxton DeLaurent was, even though his stats don't look it, that kid got out of more trouble.
Right, absolutely. He was definitely had the pocket presence. But, the 2 mistakes that Northwestern just capitalized on, that's the difference in the game.
And also when you have 20 penalties for 174 yards, that's going to kill you. And now I did hear that the referees did let this one get a little out of hand. There were some plays with 3 and 4 penalties on them.
But congratulations to Central Methodist. What a marquee year for those guys.
Oh, absolutely.
Something to build on, especially there in that heart of America.
Absolutely. And I mean, and look at that defense. They held Connor McQuillan to under 100 yards on 17 attempts, and they kept Tyson Koima well in check. They had him running for his life.
Yeah, he was under 200 yards total, correct, I think.
Yeah, including his rushing.
Yeah, including his rushing.
Yeah, so that was I won't call that a shocking game.
Right.
I was happy to see Central Methodist put up a fight.
But I think it says a lot about Northwestern, who wasn't on their A game, about great teams, even though, and you see it with Morningside a lot, sometimes deep in the playoffs, even when they're not playing their best, they're still such a great team to be in there for the win. In Northwestern, how impressive to have this type of game, but still win by 3+ scores.
Absolutely. I'm looking because I've realized that I've missed somebody, and I can't remember who it is.
Is it REINHART KEISER?
No, I think I've got that one. Let's go to that one next. I'll figure it out here in a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I'm definitely missing someone. We'll figure it out here in a minute. REINHART KEISER. This is the one that was kind of shocking.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of, I wouldn't use the word disappointed, but just you didn't really expect this game from both of them. With REINHART being not as one-dimensional as years past, I thought there was going to be more points scored on the board for both sides. And tip the hat to to KEISER, for them having so much struggles throughout the year, especially from the middle to the end, for them to just suffer those 2 losses and then come in here and win a first-round game, unbelievable, because REINHART has looked consistently like the real deal all year long and had, I would say, a tougher schedule because they play in the Appalachian and have other cross-divisional games than a Sun Division team, but way to represent the Sun Division KEISER Seahawks.
I mean, Keiser just said, we think that we can take Navari Solomon out of this game.
Well, how about KEISER riding Burgess for 37 rushes against REINHART, a very physical defense of REINHART. But that's why he's Conference Player of the Year over there in the Mid-South Sun.
Yeah, yes. When your quarterback throws for 24 yards, you don't really think you're going to win
You better
that
be
game.
riding somebody, and it was a quicker game because it was more of a rushing attack.
And so.
But you'd only have 26 pass plays together in a game. That game had to go so quick.
Oh, it did. And so much credit to Keiser's defense.
Yeah.
Holding REINHART to 2.9 yards per carry there on 51 rushing attempts.
Right. I think Keiser's plan was, we're going to make Billy Hall win the game
and not throw it to Navari Solomon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because Navari had one catch for 10 yards, and that is not a Navari Solomon game. And that's a big hairy deal on that. And that kind of makes me nervous for their next game on predicting that one. MARIAN Southwestern.
How about a fast start for Southwestern, but what a finish for the MARIAN Knights. And that's all that matters.
Ben Stevens with that 30-yard touchdown catch where John from the fan looking at this, he just wanted it more. That's
right. Absolutely. He wanted to advance to the next round. I didn't catch SportsCenter that night, but it definitely should have been a top 10 play.
And yes, we know that should be Soper.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing that 9 punts sets a MARIAN record there. He had 2 of 50 or more. 6 of those 9 landed inside the 20.
Yeah, flipping field positions huge for MARIAN. Honestly, I'm surprised Bundalo, 50%, but throwing for over 2 bills right there.
Yeah, Stevens got.
Yeah, absolutely. He's the main guy, but
Southwestern, credit them. Everyone says, "Oh, the KCAC."
Yeah, a joke of a league. I think this shows the respect that the KCAC deserved those 2 beds.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got a Southwestern team who, quote unquote, steals a bid.
In which I've talked with some of Southwestern's defensive staff, and they were confident heading in this year of their guys. And for them to keep MARIAN in check like that for the most part, that was pretty impressive to me, to go to Indianapolis and do that.
Yeah, that offensive line that we talk about from MARIAN was definitely held in check. They couldn't get anything going rushing.
No.
And then lastly, the game that surprised me in how far in the margin of victory.
Right.
Concordia St. Xavier.
Yeah, absolutely. We thought St. Xavier was really turning the tide there once they won that double overtime game against St. Francis of Illinois. But I think this shows a lot of parity in between Midwest and Mideast teams in the Mid-States.
Yeah, now, granted, St. Xavier was not the juggernaut it's been in years past.
No, absolutely not. But, Concordia was just absolutely just impressive defensively, just smothering.
Absolutely. 5 of 20 on 3rd and 4th down conversions, only allowing 3.6 yards per play on 72 plays. You're starting to get up there on that.
Absolutely.
Definitely makes me take another look at their game next week and see what I think is going to happen. Just a really, really great offensive performance from them. Let's real quick talk about our friends at Maumee Bay Turf Nation Sports Field Constructors. Guys, this is one of their fields that is hosting, I believe it's the Ohio State playoff games.
Awesome.
And just a beautiful turf. If you're hosting it, I don't even think this may be a brand new turf, but I don't think so. I think it might be a couple years worn in, and you still see it's just as vibrant as when they put it in. So if you have a need and want to look at a new field, if you're a coach or an athletic department,
and you cut down cost on the maintenance.
Absolutely. I was watching Montana Western a couple weeks ago, and they had a grass field. I'm like going, man, Montana.
Yeah, it's up north. It's tough to maintain.
It's tough to maintain,
especially when it gets cold.
Save some money. Mm-hmm. But you know, it was a hard choice. We had a lot of good offensive players, but I think for me, I think we have to go with Cam Dukes.
Absolutely, and you knew he was going to get in stride come playoff time. You know, being a defending national champion, mentally you know what it takes to, you know, make another hot run to get to that championship game. And he did everything. And, you know, the rushing yards, you don't see 44 rushing yards, but when they get close to that end zone, it is time to call number 12.
Yeah, I mean, they do that that quarterback over on that D gap on the outside of their tackle.
Right.
With that running back lead block.
Right, they're just blocking down, kicking out, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yep. Credit to the Lindsey Wilson running backs who they know good and well they're not getting the ball.
Right,
and they're still blocking
selfless.
for Cam.
If they're going to get the ball, you know, anywhere else in the field, they better block on the goal line if they want to play for in Lindsey Wilson's system.
And then defensively, Sir Zion Dance from Marian with a really nice game for them.
Yeah, he's beginning to make some noise as one of the better defensive players in the playoffs, if not the best.
Yep. So congratulations to Cam and Sir Zion, and we're going to take a quick break here on the NAIAFBALL live show powered by AdCraft.
This is Anthony Turner from Grandview University, and this is NAIA football.
Anthony Turner had a great game for Grandview this week. Wanted to make sure that we featured him on our little call out there. But let's take a look at the matchups that are coming up and talk about that and see who we've got. First up, the defending champion, the Lindsey Wilson Blue Raiders against the KEISER Seahawks. This one's
it's been a long time since their second week 2 matchup where I think Lindsey Wilson won 34-2.
Yeah, but these are teams they've played 3 times in the span of a calendar year.
Absolutely, which is impressive. I will say this, for KEISER to have a chance, they are going to have to throw the ball.
Yeah.
As good as Burgess is, he's just not going to, you know, get that many rushes and ride them like that. They're going to have to be a little bit more than one-dimensional like they were against REINHARDT. For Lindsey Wilson's end, basically just keep doing what you're doing, and you just got to be focused and ready to play. I think their system and the talent they have around them is good enough to win, but they have to be focused to do it.
And I think they will be. You know, like I said on Instagram on the pre-show, Lindsey Wilson needs no extra motivation.
Right. And, you know, I think the big thing is, and I remember it from the semifinals last year when these two played, what is KEISER going to do? Because they love to run those bubbles and the screens on the perimeter. When Lindsey Wilson made an adjustment and it carried over to the regular season of their safeties, taking away the perimeter, what's the adjustment KEISER is going to do?
Yeah, what's the counterpunch?
Yeah, so I think KEISER's defense is good enough to not really hold them at bay, but put them in a position to win if their offense can click.
That's going to be the big thing. KEISER's going to we're going to sound like a broken record here because this is exactly what we said last year about KEISER Lindsey Wilson. If KEISER doesn't start fast,
right,
they're going to be behind 14-0 in an awful hurry.
Right.
And then they're not going to be able to run nearly as effectively.
Are we doing predictions now or later?
Let's go ahead and do them. I'm going to go with Lindsey Wilson.
I'm going LINDSEY 35 to 10.
Oh, you're calling scores over here.
35 to
You're
10.
calling scores. I'll just call winners. I look. There are no secrets now.
Right.
You have 8 quarters of tape within the last calendar year with effectively the same team against each other. There are no secrets. And like we've said before, Keiser's defensive coordinator used to coach for Coach Oliver.
Yeah.
At Lindsey Wilson, there's no secrets on what Keiser's going to want to do defensively. It's just going to be who can have the better coached, better team to pull it off, to execute. This is intriguing. Morningside versus Kansas Wesleyan. This one's an intriguing matchup to me.
You know, I think it's going to be similar to Morningside's Week 1 game. You know, Kansas Wesleyan, who is a sharp team. They definitely are. Even with the bye, you know, I know you picked them. I picked Indiana Wesleyan, but it wouldn't have surprised me if they beat Indiana Wesleyan. It would have surprised no one. You know, here's the thing with Kansas Wesleyan and Morningside. You don't want to take the route Ottawa did in trying to get in a race.
Yeah.
You're going to lose that race every time.
I mean, here's the thing that where Ottawa made their mistake. They found no way to make adjustments on the Morningside offense.
Right.
But second, if you're going to beat Morningside, you're going to have to force them into situations where they can't be efficient.
You're going to have to get them behind the sticks.
You're going to have to get them behind the sticks. You're going to have to get them to fumble. You're going to have to get them to throw interceptions. Right. You're going to have to get them to give you the ball.
And right now, you know, Kansas Wesleyan, in my opinion, you have nothing to lose. Go crazy.
You're playing with house money.
Yeah. You have nothing to lose.
Yeah, and so can Kansas Wesleyan be efficient enough to beat Morningside is the question. I see this being another high-scoring game.
I'd say this is Kansas Wesleyan's biggest game as a program this millennium. This game right here.
Weren't they in the semifinals a couple years ago?
They were in the either semi or quarterfinals. I think it was quarterfinals against Lindsey Wilson, the round of 8. This round right here, because Lindsey Wilson lost to MARIAN the next round.
Ah, that's right. So
I really do think this is the biggest game of the century, millennium, whatever you want to call it. For
it's definitely the biggest game for Kansas Wesleyan's head coach, who was not around for that game.
Right.
I'm gonna go with Morningside on this one. They're just too doggone efficient. They've got too much on defense.
I'm going with Morningside as well.
More intriguing games.
This is probably the game of the week where you don't know where it's going to go. Grandview's done everything they're supposed to do. They beat up their Heart of America opponents. They beat up Dickinson State, who we love Dickinson State, but they were one of the lower teams in the playoffs. They've done what they're supposed to do, but they're not as battle tested as the Concordia Cardinals.
That's true. But I also I'll get in trouble for saying this. I don't know if they've played a defense as good and as stacked and as deep as Grandview's from front to back on that defense.
I agree with that. Grandview's consistently had a top 3 defense to pass.
We were reminded Kansas Wesleyan did lose to Benedictine in the semis a few years ago.
That
was what I was thinking.
You're right. A few years ago. Thank you.
So second biggest game.
Yeah, second biggest game. There you go.
And so really to me, Allie Scott, Johnny Sullivan, they're doing a really good job with that Grandview offense of being efficient. You've got good wide receiver on the edge that we just heard from.
That was 2018 with Johnny Photo and them, right?
Yeah, that was Johnny Photo and Shaq Bradford.
Sorry, back on topic. Go ahead.
Yep. And Grandview just gets it done. They score enough, and they let their defense carry them. This is I definitely think this Grandview team is better than last year's. Johnny Sullivan is in better health
Yeah, so I think the key of the game is usually we talk about the offense line and running the ball, who can establish the line of scrimmage. While that's always the biggest case in every game, it's going to come down to the quarterbacks. Gavin Brooks versus Johnny Sullivan. Who can limit the mistakes and who can get the ball out to their playmakers. Whoever has the better game of those two is going to win the game. I don't think it's going to be one of those games where, say like, for instance, I know we don't want to talk about big boy football, but where Kyler Murray just lit up the box score against Alabama and they still lost.
No, I don't think
that's
this
not
is
going to
that.
be the case. Whoever has the better game out of these two wins this game.
This is going to be one of those ones where you go, whew, I wish we had this matchup a week later.
Right, absolutely. This feels like a semifinal.
This feels like a semi right here. This game.
This definitely feels like a semi.
This definitely feels like a semi.
Northwestern, who made the championship run in our spring season last year, looked sloppy last week. But the good news is their opponent did too, and their opponent MARIAN started slow last week.
They've started slow all season, MARIAN
and it's a contrast of styles where Northwestern's offense loves to spread it out, scramble around, get vertical passing going. Well, MARIAN likes some ball control, so it's a differentiation of styles, and typically, I go with the team that likes the ball control and their defense is up to the task. But, I'm not going to go against Tyson Koima.
You can't.
In his last ride here.
I mean, Tyson surely wants to avenge what was not a great game for him last week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Northwestern fans think I don't like them. Nobody thinks I like them.
I'm going with Northwestern.
Everyone thinks I hate
I'm rolling with Northwestern.
I get tagged for not liking anybody. I'm going to go with Northwestern here as well. I think we're picking the same this week.
And honestly, I know this is looking beyond, but if Northwestern, Morningside, and Grandview win, I hope the NAIA does not put Northwestern and Morningside in the semis together. They deserve a chance to meet at the championship game, to me.
Yeah.
I know no one else cares about that, but to me, they deserve that chance.
I agree.
And I would love to see a national championship rematch in the semis between Lindsey Wilson and Northwestern.
Yeah, I think, neither of them would be a flight at that point.
No.
You're looking at what's going to be the best, and Lindsey Northwestern would technically be your 1-4 matchup.
Mm-hmm.
That would be your proper seeding matchup.
Keep the seeding, yep.
And it'd be 2-3 Morningside Grandview. So I definitely think that's something you definitely could see.
I would love to see that. I would love, just not even as a guy that just talks NAIA football, but just as a fan.
As a fan of the game.
As a fan of the game, I would love for Northwestern and Morningside to have the opportunity to meet in the chip. But
you want to talk about teams refacing each other and seeing each other for the 4th time in a calendar year.
Yeah, that would be those two.
Again, there are no secrets here between those two squads for sure and certain. So we're picking chalk this week.
Yeah, we're on the same wavelengths here.
Yep, we're picking chalk all the way down. If you were to pick an upset, who has the best chance out of the 4 to pick to get the upset?
To go vanilla, definitely Concordia. To me, just they're the ones that match up even. I think you can make an argument with MARIAN and Northwestern, but I just really like Northwestern and what they can bring to the table. And I don't think this MARIAN team's, and I know I'm going to get hate for this because, the MARIAN fans hated me in Louisiana a couple years ago.
Hey, we get hate from everybody.
I don't think this MARIAN team this year is as good to the standard as we know the other MARIAN teams.
I would tend to agree. They're good defensively.
Yeah.
They're lacking.
Now, if I eat my crow, I eat my crow.
Right.
So,
Concordia made me eat my Cardinal last week and scored 47 points when I said it was going to be a low-scoring ball game. So we eat crow on the regular here, and we own it. I think you're right. I think Concordia has the best chance. Part of me wants to say that KEISER has a good chance to upset Lindsey Wilson, but Lindsey's just too well coached. They're just too well
If there was a
coached.
lock of any of those 4 games, if there was a lock, Lindsey Wilson's the lock.
I would almost call Morningside the lock there.
I think they're
don't
both
think-
locks, but
yeah,
if I had to put my
yeah.
house on it, I'm
On
going
one,
with Lindsey
yeah.
Wilson.
I don't know that Kansas Wesleyan's going to be efficient enough to
Right.
beat Morningside. That is, you have to be so on your game to beat Morningside
Totally agree.
that it's insane. So let's go to my favorite part, the reading of the patrons. Do you want to do it this week?
No.
No, you're going to pass. You're going to pass. I'll do it. So we've got Ace Wellen, Cordell, Austin Steele, Jody Hoagland, Jerry Quickle, Alex Garcia, Monty Mustang, Nathan, Ronnie Atkinson, Fred Christensen, Shirley LaBella, Jeremy Bobble, Trisha Prescott, Roger Meyer, Dylan Swears, David Bob Boone, Cliff Kreisel, Darren, Brett Kroschel, Daniel Quinn, DSU Cone, Ian Sweeney, Blake Sintman, Keith, Marty Seabolt, Justin Cobb, Dane, Nick Ryan, Hayden Ferrigno, Steve Card, Marty McFly, Art Kastner, Jeff, Kyle Gregory, Lance DeMond, Jacob Smith, Tyler Pierce, Steve Speakman, and Coach D67. Guys, thank you so much for what you do. Again, you make it so that we can go to the national championship game. This is like, thanks to y'all and thanks to our sponsors, thanks to, AgCraft, who is our presenting sponsor this year, and Mommy Bay, Turf Nation, who believe in what we do and want to see us expand. We talk about it every week. We are so thankful. We are so humbled and grateful for what y'all do and what y'all are able to help us do with the coverage of the sport. This is a team sport. We can't do what we do without you, and without both of us together, we can't help the NAIA grow like we could do separately. So keep it locked. I'm gonna be at the in-laws this weekend, so I'm gonna try to do a recap.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to do a recap. I don't know how their internet is to stream. I've had issues streaming the last couple of weeks. Hopefully, I'll be able to go on YouTube and stream. Hopefully, I'll have a guest this week if I can do it.
I hope so.
I've got a guest possibly lined up. So keep it locked in on Saturday late afternoon, because Lord knows they've scheduled every game at 1:00 Eastern again.
Yeah, it's tough.
Thanks,
At
guys.
least there's less games.
Thanks, guys. At least I don't need 6 screens this time. I only need 4. So thank you so much for what you do, and we will see y'all on the Twitter timeline. Peace.